told you that you look like Penelope Garcia from Criminal Minds?
From Criminal Minds?
Yes.
Yes, I have been told that before.
You definitely remind me of her.
Yeah, I have that energy, but like with red hair instead.
Right. Yeah. Even the glasses too, and like just I can already tell by your personality that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw you.
She did go to the same college that I went to. Not at the same time at all. She's older than me.
Oh,
but
wow.
we both went to Cal State Fullerton. So
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's a huge coincidence.
Yeah.
Right? Giant.
Yeah. And then so like we're just really excited to have you on the show, honestly. As soon as we found you, you're AAA game developer, involved with Blizzard, and just like we like to go back to the origin story, I guess. Like, how did that all start? Did you was this always a dream, or when did you decide you were going to pursue in this path, and like what steps did you take to get there?
Yeah, so I majored in animation at Cal State Fullerton, like I just mentioned.
Right, yes.
And it was great, but there were two problems. They're teaching animation that for an industry that doesn't exist anymore, because they taught me how to do traditional hand-drawn 2D animation, which is fine. Even 5-10 years ago, well, it would have been 5-10 years ago when I was in college. Oh God, I don't want to do the math there.
Oh gosh, I was thinking about it today too. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, no. But like the early 2000s to the mid 2000s, you could still get a job drawing SpongeBob or Rocko's Modern Life or even like Dave the Barbarian or something, which are all things that my professors worked on. But those jobs got outsourced to like Asian studios a long time ago. And so now the jobs that you're likely to see at Nickelodeon are going to be like the storyboard artists here, which basically do full animatics now. And then like cleanup artists on the other side, and then like sound engineers, the voice actors, the writers, all of those things. But nobody who's actually drawing the stuff, just the designers who are passing it off to somebody else. So by the time I was a senior in college, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pursue what I want to pursue because the jobs are so limited. And storyboarding is really, really hard, honestly, which is what I wanted to do. So I did like an internship. It wasn't really an internship. I just worked for a company for a summer and then told my school it was an internship and it was fine. But I worked for Ready at Dawn, which was rest in peace. They closed. They got bought by Meta in 2020 and then they were closed and everyone was let go a couple years ago. So, but at the time it was 2018 and I joined Ready at Dawn as a QA tester. And that was in the VR helmets. So I was wearing an Oculus like 8 hours a day and I wear glasses. Ooh. And if you can't see in real life, you can't see in virtual reality either. Like, that's how the lenses work. And it's so unfair. So I either had to wake up super early and put my contacts into my very dry eyes or wear the glasses under the thing. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So from there, after doing QA, I mean, once you have games on your resume, it's kind of tainted, honestly. Like a lot of places don't want to
see, that's something you wanted to get into.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I got into it because it was an opening. I was looking for different things that might be relevant to my experience as an animation student. And they were hiring people with no experience. So once I got my foot in the door as a QA tester, I was able to get another job as a QA tester after I graduated college, which was at NCSoft, which you've probably never played any of the games. They're like Korean Blizzard, which was how it was pitched to me. They make Blade and Soul, Ion, and Lineage 2. So that's what I worked on.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then the pandemic happened and we all went home and they told us that when they come back, whenever that is, they're going to be moving their offices to a much more expensive neighborhood and there's not going to be any parking for any of the employees.
Oh, gosh.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to find another job.
Right.
So I applied to literally anywhere and everywhere. At that point, I was considering like maybe I should just leave games because it's so competitive. And that's around the time that Blizzard popped up in the news for their 2021 lawsuit.
I was going to ask you if you were there at that time or after that. Yes, that big scandal.
I got my job because of the lawsuit. We'll put it that way. I remember working for NCSoft, which was in Aliso Viejo, California, which is near Irvine, which is where Blizzard is famously headquartered.
Right.
So I felt a kinship. There is a lot of overlap. The games industry is very small, especially, not in LA, but in the Orange County area. There's not a whole lot of studios. So there's a lot of overlap.
Okay.
And seeing them go through and do their walkouts and everything, I was really, moved by it. But at the same time, when they had a quest designer position open, I took the opportunity anyway, because Blizzard is still Blizzard on your resume at the end of the day, which wasn't proud of it. I wasn't excited, like I had avoided applying to places like Riot before because of their reputation, but also because I don't play League.
Right.
But I played a lot of Overwatch. And
awesome.
Overwatch lovers here.
Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pharah main, Diva and Lucio, and then Pharah.
Oh wow! Well, see, she's a Diva main, and I'm a Lucio
also.
main.
Yes.
Literally both of us.
Maybe that's why I liked your
headphones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or headset.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, oh God, it was so much fun before Overwatch 2, but that's a whole other can of worms.
Oh gosh. Yes. How long do we have?
I know,
right? Right. But anyway, so to make a long story short, I applied for the quest designer position. I got it as part of a push for them to hire more women and LGBT, I think was the direct quote from whoever was president at the time.
Oh.
Which I think would have been Mike Ibarra. And so the company had an attitude of they had cleaned it up, and they were pretty convincing, honestly. They got me good. That it was no longer like a toxic work environment and stuff. And in a lot of ways they have, but in a lot of ways there's still undercurrents of that
like that
toxic work environment. Yeah.
Frat culture. Was there still any of that lingering? I don't know. I mean, I know there's some things you can't say, but like, yeah.
So the issue is, I think a lot of people think that they have solved it, because in a lot of ways they have. A lot of the people that were the direct perpetrators of some of the worst things were let go, and they're very strict about that now in a lot of ways. They don't allow alcohol at any of the parties. I've never, been in an uncomfortable situation like that. So that, they can have their flowers there. They did improve that. As far as I'm aware, it's hit or miss depending on what team you're on, for sure. We're very isolated based on what game and what team we're on. So, but it's like a toxic positivity thing where they don't say it directly to you, and they don't say that they're playing favorites or that there's a culture of, like playing favorites, I guess,
right.
or politics, office politics, that kind of thing. Yeah. They say it isn't there, and there isn't a good old boys kind of attitude anymore. But
toxic masculinity, something like that. Yeah.
And it's hard to pin down, because in a lot of ways, women in the games industry can be perpetrators of that, because we're just trying to do our best to survive. And I know that I probably haven't been innocent either in trying to climb that ladder, right? Even just agreeing with the men in the room and just kind of laughing along with it.
Right. But don't you feel like often too, like people, I mean, I know we've both been in that situation. You're kind of like forced in that situation because like, like, what else am I going to do? Like,
oh yeah, exactly. When you're in a boardroom or a meeting room with a bunch of people who are seniors on the game, and it's not that they're suggesting something bad. It's just that they're not suggesting anything good, or you try to speak up with your idea and it's kind of like, not laughed out of the room, but it's also just kind of like, yeah, whatever. And there's very much a seniority rules culture as opposed to a good old boys culture. So I guess maybe good old culture, so to speak, where the people who have been there the longest definitely have this kind of like, almost like a deified kind of aura to them, because they've been there so long. They've been there for like 20 years.
Yeah.
But then they kind of supersede it. It's always the same people in charge of the same kinds of projects, and there's not really a whole lot of shakeup. There's not really a whole lot of room for people to grow, and there's definitely not a culture of helping people out when they slip up. Right. So, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And then how divided is it? I mean, because of course when you think about Blizzard, I mean, of course we're thinking our favorite is Overwatch, but of course you have World of Warcraft. I would say is their bread and butter, and then Diablo amongst other ones, a few other ones there. But yeah, how divided is it? Are these like separate buildings, like in locations,
floors? Yeah, like floors.
Yes, or how it just like a I don't know if this sounds weird to say, is there like an Overwatch building? Like this is Blizzard Overwatch we work on, and Blizzard World of Warcraft, or
yeah, for the most part. So the different teams have different numbers, and that's something that a lot of people are aware of. Team 2 is the World of Warcraft team. I believe Team 1 was the StarCraft team.
StarCraft,
might have been Heroes of the Storm, but that was before my time. That was all gone by the time I was there. Team 4 is Overwatch. Team 5 is Hearthstone. God, would that make Team 3 Diablo? I don't really know.
Yeah, because that's the main one left.
Yeah, so there definitely are buildings. So like the main building of campus had like most of it was World of Warcraft devs, and then also the executives like on the top floor. And then some of us, like the World of Warcraft classic teams, they were in a separate building, just like at a different floor because there wasn't enough room. We'd kind of outgrown the facilities. And they own a large campus in the middle of Irvine. It's like there's 3 main buildings on the main campus, and then they also bought like half of an industrial complex like across the street. And so that's where like the mobile games are. I think Diablo's in one of the big buildings. I really don't know what was in building 3. They had like a library in there.
The question: what was in building 3?
Yeah,
they got some.
That's like giving Vault 33 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like what's in Vault 33?
Secrets in building 3.
They had the library was in building 3, and then building 3 also had. There was an Overwatch installation a long time ago with a big tracer, like as the announcement for Overwatch, I think. There was like a 2-story tall tracer figure, like in a box like this. And that was in building 3. They have all the statues all over the place.
Wow. That's
building 3
cool.
sounds like storage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, building 3 is just storage.
They move them around. Like all the buildings do have a lot of fun statues in them. So that was cool to see it work. But
that's really cool.
It kind of loses its luster a little bit when we're demanding better work conditions and those just aren't being met at all. We had situations where we're asking, please, can you keep pace with inflation, during like 2020 and stuff? Because we have to live in or around Irvine. That's where the campus is. And Irvine is expensive. Like it is if you look it up, it is one of like the top 5 highest growing rents in the country, is Irvine, California. So for example, I paid like, this place is like almost $3,000 a month for 600 square feet. And it's down the street from campus. And that's the cheapest place we could find.
Man.
And they just refuse to pay more, even to pay in league with they're not intended, but in league with their competitors like Riot. Like I've heard that their associate designers start on at 100,000 a year right now, because they have to live in LA. That sounds like a lot until you start to look at rent and car insurance and gas and everything else about living in California where these studios are, and they demand you to be in person. And I started out at like around 75 as an associate designer, so 25K less than what I've heard Riot starts at.
Right.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, oh man. See, and then when you start to lose that luster for like, I guess, the industry, like does that make you like lose the luster in gaming itself? Like did you see yourself like not wanting to game as more because like you knew all that like it took to put into it and it was just kind of overwhelming?
So yes and no. Part of it is it's difficult to play games because I can't play bad games anymore. Because at the end of the day, Blizzard is very committed to quality. Like their games function.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
The exception of the Hearthstone app sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But like their games are good quality games in that you can always reliably have them boot up and you can play it and bugs are patched. And as far as I could tell, especially on the World of Warcraft team, we were responsive to it. The game's buggy. It's really old though. So
I mean, when you have a massive, like a massive game like that, I mean, I say the same thing for like Assassin's Creed. People complain about bugs in Assassin's Creed. It's like it's like a whole world. You know, it's like there's gonna be bugs. I honestly don't mind bugs. I just like, well, especially with a game like Assassin's Creed, I'm like, oh, it's just the animus glitching, like within the story within the game. But anyway, I'm sorry. Did you have something?
Well, you did mention that you were on the World of Warcraft team, so I was curious, like, what were some of your like favorite like memories or some qualities in games that you had inputted or NPCs? Yeah, your favorite NPCs you would have.
my number one favorite achievement is, and it's so minor, but I love him anyway, is Gorgon Zormu, which is the cheese dragon, cheesemonger that I put in Valdrakken. Because World of Warcraft, if you're not familiar, for the listeners or for you guys, the 5 dragon flights are 5 different colors, and the different colors of the flights determine what kind of magic they can use. And it also determines the suffix of their name. Very warrior cats. So the bronze flight is the time magic dragons. And they have suffixes that are Ormu and Ormi, depending on the dragon's gender. I think we have a gender neutral one now. I don't remember. But Gorgon Zormu, Gorgonzola, Zormu, he's a cheesemonger who magically ages his cheese. So you can get like 24-month aged Parmesan like in the snap of his finger.
That's awesome.
And every single entry on his that you can buy was a custom made cheese item that I wrote that is World of Warcraft pun. So I have the curding of Stratholme, which like the culling of Stratholme, which is famously when Arthas murdered a whole village of men, women, and children. Very Anakin.
Yes, very Anakin. Yes, indeed.
Stuff like that. Some of it was more, deep lore polls, because I was trying desperately to find any examples of cheese in the World of Warcraft universe, and it's not bountiful. So I had to make up a lot of them, but he ended up getting used in Hearthstone. You can get Gorgon Zormu in Hearthstone. I don't remember what expansion. I had already been let go at that point, so I don't really remember, and I uninstalled the game. But I'm very proud that one of my characters made it into the spin-off game.
That is so cool.
That is cool.
That is,
you left your mark.
Yes, you definitely left your mark. And I was just having a conversation with someone not that long ago about Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, I feel the World of Warcraft is the same thing, where it's like, I've always heard about it growing up. I've always wanted to get into it, but you feel like it's been so old and going on so long. It's like, where would I even start? And like you said, so many expansions and DLCs and all that. Like, where do I even start? But it still seems fun.
We were working on the new player experience, and D&D is definitely something that was really something that on the team we were all very familiar with and very passionate about. I did get to play a game with some of the other designers, so that was fun. It's a fun bucket list item for a lot of people. I played Dungeons and Dragons, and my dungeon master was a guy who had worked on World of Warcraft since Burning Crusade. So there you go. That was the first expansion.
That's an achievement.
He had worked there since
right
like 2005.
Wow,
we'll go with that.
So, and then kind of fast forwarding a little bit, where did you kind of step away, or I mean, like you said, where we left off, you were losing that kind of luster there. So where did it all kind of change?
So I had some personal things happen in my life, which kind of led to some burnout. But that was where I started to lose my luster for the games industry, where I started to become disillusioned with it. And a lot around the time of the Microsoft acquisition, which happened.
Was it 23 or 24?
Year, 2024, I believe, was when Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard King. And they promised that they were going to improve work conditions, and they just really didn't. They were speeding up the cadence at which we needed to release stuff. And I was going through stuff in my personal life, and then they laid off some designers. So, which is very uncommon for them, but it was a sweep of kind of, like the newest ones, or in our case, because we had a lot of people that were hired on at the, all at the start, like at the lawsuit, right? So we were all kind of the same level of seniority. They just kind of culled people who hadn't been doing well for whatever reason, even if it was completely fixable and or over. So I was getting married, and like that was part of it. It wasn't the only thing. There was other personal emergencies, but it's one of those things where it was definitely fixable. It was definitely solvable, and it definitely had mostly already resolved itself. And myself, and along with the other designers that were let go, didn't need to be treated like that. But it felt like a pruning of the branches, kind of kick in the face, knowing how bad the industry is. And it lined up so perfectly. It was like a month after Microsoft acquired us. So I know that had to be related, but they don't tell you because they don't want us to sue them. So
but it's like kind of like that's what they're doing. Obvious. Yes. Yeah. That really sucks.
Yeah. So go ahead.
And then so after that, and now you're transferring to different types of media and things like that now. How did that transition go? Did you need to take a step back and kind of analyze what the next steps were? Like, can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, so this was definitely not my first instinct. I'll give you that. That was lower tier. It's something where I had this running bit with my friends where I could spit a YouTube script at them because I watched so much of it while I'm working on World of Warcraft and other stuff. So I could, like, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And that was just like a bit I did with my friends.
Wow.
But after sending out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications and receiving very little response, despite the fact that I had 5 years of experience as QA and 2.5 years of experience working on like one of the biggest live service games of all time, I still struggled to find a job. And so did the other people that I was in contact with that lost their jobs around the same time. And it felt like every single day I was waking up to find out another studio laid people off. Another studio let go of a whole team. Marvel Rivals got super popular and I was like, oh, maybe I can hop on that, right? And then as soon as it was, the bird had fledged and the parents could fly away, they cut as many people as they could for maintenance.
Yeah, they cut like one of their...
The game has launched.
They cut one of their main, head guys after it was successful. And it's like, wait, what? Yeah.
Because these games are about hooking the whales and getting people that are, entrenched in it and going to spend a bunch of money. And it's not necessarily about keeping the wide variety of fans. That was something that I think just as a player, because most of the stuff with Overwatch that I'm crabby about, like, not my opinions while I was working at the company. And I don't know anyone who was working on the Overwatch team, but like, I felt like they focused on it from a competitive standpoint far too much and made it unfun average player,
Yeah,
they nerfed
exactly.
Mercy and the res and everything, and it was like, yeah, I get why it was overpowered and competitive, or like high level competitive, but I was having fun.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. It just like, I mean, that was the thing with Overwatch 2, not to kind of go on a tangent here, but yeah, it was just, I feel like from somebody who played it since 2016, since it came out, played it on all platforms from PlayStation to Xbox to PC, and it's like, it was just little updates along the way that just like, instead of the updates getting better, it's just like, it was just little things that you're just like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like, and then it's just like, now I played for the first time last night in like months.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's since Marvel Rivals came out, honestly, but honestly, Marvel Rivals 2, it's get to that point where it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Come on, like, do I have to lose?
It's a symptom of a larger disease of, I feel like the developers feel like they need to fiddle with the balance over and over and over again to the point where it is not fun at all.
Right.
I think some of the changes they made early on in Overwatch's career were great and needed to happen, and that was like regular iteration.
Right.
But I think that set an unhealthy standard for shooters or even competitive games like this moving forward, where they're just making micro adjustments for the sake of making micro adjustments.
Yes.
It's okay if one of the characters is overpowered.
Yeah.
It's okay if you have 5 characters and you have to pick 2 of them and one of them is an always pick. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's supposed to work.
Right. I see
Smash
your point.
Bros. Melee and Team Fortress 2 have, especially Melee, by design, not had updates in decades. And people still play them, and they still have high-level competitive stuff with no updates. They don't need to be updated constantly.
Oh, that's a great point.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it is. It's just like it's just like you have a toy and you just keep fiddling with it. It's like, you're gonna break it eventually.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I do agree that some heroes can be buffed or can stay overpowered, but it's like, don't just buff the overpowered heroes. Also, it's like Marvel Rivals. It's
or
like, one does too strong.
Oblivion.
Say that again.
Or nerf them into oblivion.
Exactly.
Sometimes it was a character that you introduced is popular, or a new strategy comes out that's popular, and so this character is now overpowered.
Yeah.
And they feel the need to like take away all 3 of their good abilities. Just take away one.
Wow.
Like, that, you don't need to like fix it all at once. Maybe do one change at a time.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way with Orisa, but she should have her shield.
I was talking about Brigitte. So in my head, I was talking about Brigitte.
That makes sense, because I felt like I was so good with her at one point, and then I just fell off.
She was low skill ceiling for high reward, and they hated that.
Wow. Yes, I got a golden weapons for her, and then I started sucking right after I got it, and I'm like, okay, well, I just wasted this.
Yeah, and it's not you. They did that to Diva for a while too, and I had the gold weapons for her too, and that's when I switched to Farah, and I was like, man, I don't play Diva at all anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well. Oh man, so what do you got coming up? What things are you working on now?
Yeah, so I pivoted to YouTube because I wanted to at least build something that was my own.
Yes.
So that was kind of the the siren call of like, you could be putting all of this work that you're putting into applying to stuff or building a portfolio in art or something. You can do it into something that you get to keep all of the money from if it works. And it felt like it was just as sure of a bet as sending out another application and getting hired by a company at this point. So I've put up a bunch of stuff like I do like pop culture movie reviews and like deep dive mystery stuff. My latest videos were about Bigfoot and Disneyland animatronics.
Yeah.
But my upcoming one is gonna be I have a double feature coming up. Because my wife and I just got back from Italy on our honeymoon.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. And so I had just seen Eddie Burbach's video where he and Drew Gooden and their partners go to Italy after testing Olive Garden. And the whole bit of the video is, can Olive Garden hold a candle to the great nation of Italy? And I told my wife, like, what if we do Eddie Burbach's video, but we're lesbians this time? So, since we were going to Italy anyway.
Wow.
And then the video that I'm working on right now is a prequel to that one because my rant on the movie I watched on the plane was getting too long. The segment was too long. So I have upcoming probably within the next week. I started a new job, so I'm doing training and stuff because you have to live.
Yeah,
so we'll see if it gets up within the next week or so. But it's a review of Ishana Night Shyamalan's The Watchers, starring Dakota Fanning.
Oh yes, I haven't watched that one yet, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I was captive on a plane, and there were not a whole lot of good options. The airline we were flying was a budget Norwegian airline, and the options for the in-flight entertainment were like the first Harry Potter, the last two Harry Potters, the last Hobbit, not any of the others, A Christmas Story, Inception, like just stuff I don't want to watch on a plane, like nothing good. They had 4 episodes of Friends, and it was the beach house scenes. My wife is a big Friends person. I'm not, so she told me that, and I've just been parroting it back in case anybody knows anything about Friends. I'm like, it's the beach house ones.
No, we're more of office people.
Yeah, office people. Even though Friends is way before. Well, honestly, so I like Seinfeld. I'm starting to get into Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Anyway,
now we're going off the
Superstore. Honestly, I could talk sitcoms all day. But.
Yeah. And so, how was Italy?
Italy was awesome. We were in Rome when the Pope died.
Oh, wow.
So that felt that
I don't
crazy.
know if that's more of a bad wow or that's more of a bad wow, people.
Luckily, we had already left Rome. Thank God.
Okay, yeah.
We did Rome for like 5 days, and then we went to, you said Assassin's Creed. I have an Assassin's Creed tattoo. It's kind of hard to see.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow,
because
that's awesome.
I wanted to go to Monteriggioni, where Ezio is from.
Wow.
Because it's a real place.
Yes.
It's a real town, and there are Airbnbs there. And so I got we have the Hot Toys Ezio figurine. It's like this big.
Oh, yes.
He's like $600.
Yes, those are freaking, so expensive.
So we carried him around in my wife's purse all through Italy and took pictures of him everywhere that has been featured in his games.
That is
oh
so
my
cool.
gosh, that's so
that
awesome.
Was fun.
Oh my gosh.
But we were in Tuscany already. We had made it to Monteriggioni by the time the Pope died. We were at a nice like restaurant diner type thing in the middle of Tuscany, and my mom texts me at what is probably 4 a.m. here, just like, the Pope died. I'm looking around at all the Italians, and you're like, do they know? How often do they check their phones?
Who's gonna tell them?
Yeah, like as Americans, we're glued to our phones. We're like scrolling Twitter constantly. Like, I think we might have known before everybody in that restaurant, just by virtue of being addicted to Twitter.
Right. Wow.
That says something.
Yeah. And then the other thing was when we stayed in Rome, our Airbnb was pretty close to one of the papal basilicas. We walked there to avoid jet lag. It was beautiful. So when we came back to fly out of Rome, we had an extra day there because we had to catch the flight the next day. So we were like, let's go back to that same papal basilica that we saw. It was very pretty, and it'll remind us of the first day we spent in Rome.
Oh.
That's where the Pope was buried.
Oh, well.
Oh.
The first Pope in history to not be buried in the Vatican was buried in the one church we wanted to visit before we left Italy.
Wow.
So we did wait over an hour in line to see the Pope's tomb, because when else are you going to see the Pope's tomb?
Yeah, that's a once in a lifetime thing. Maybe it was meant to be.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good.
How long is that flight to Italy?
12 hours.
Oh.
Yeah, and 12 hours and all you have is movies and 4 episodes of Friends.
Yeah.
Because they don't let you purchase Wi-Fi on board Norse Flights. That wasn't an option.
Jeez.
So I was planning on uploading. I had a bunch of shorts cut so that I could have shorts like constantly uploading. Because I finished my long form videos to upload while I was in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do that at all on the plane.
Jeez.
And my Assassin's Creed didn't download either on my Switch. I bought the Ezio collection on the Switch.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't download. So
Jeez. Those are always,
I went into like an elf trance.
Yeah.
12 hours.
I would have just
after
knocked
the
out.
Watchers.
I would have took a very
Summer
long
bugs.
12-hour nap.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's hard to sleep on a plane.
No, but oh wow. Yeah,
Man.
and
My advice is book a flight with a layover. You think you want a nonstop flight, and that's true for US domestic flights, but if you're going to be flying from California to Italy, just have a layover in like any part of the East Coast first, so you can stretch your legs and get out of the plane and like eat some food and be human for a minute. That's my advice.
Oh, because yours was nonstop?
Yeah.
It was nonstop, 12 hours.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because like just like your point, you'd think you'd want a nonstop flight, but for something that long, I don't think we've ever flown. Never flown past 3-4 hours. Like, yeah.
Us,
Yeah.
Maybe 3
My longest
hours.
flight before this was, like flying probably to New York from California, which is like 5.5. That's just not that much compared to this.
Yeah.
So it was long haul.
Wow. Did you have anything before we go?
I don't think so. No,
I know we might be running out of time, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is so. I feel like we can go on for hours, like
Yes.
and more into
sure.
everything. So, I mean, you're more than welcome on the show anytime you want. You got an
Yeah,
open
yeah.
invitation. Just let us know.
Yes.
And is there anything you wanted us promote, plug, message you want to get across before we
Yes.
let you go?
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is Laura the Lorikeet. You can find it at YouTube at Laura the Lorikeet, which is LAURA the LORIKEET. And that's the YouTube channel that I'm trying to get off the ground here so I can free myself from the shackles of the games industry forever.
Nice.
Yes.
That sounds like a plan.
So that's my quest right now, is like getting my channel monetized. So that's step one.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, just again, thank you so much. I really, we had more questions for you, but we're definitely need to hopefully plan a part two
Yes.
sometime. But thank you again.
I'd be more than willing. So
okay.
thank you so much.
Okay.
It was
I'm
a
sorry, I'm
blast.
not trying to back you in the corner here, but
No, you're fine.
I'm like, this has been so fun. The time has just flown by so fast.
Yeah.
But thank you so much again for joining us, and congratulations too on your wedding.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye Laura.
Bye.
All right.
That's awesome.